Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. This is my truck that I use for truck camping, and I'll show you this real quick so you can kind of get a look at it. And I will get back to this in more detail in just a second, but I wanted to start off by quickly noting that this is not a new build. It's been 3 or 4 years ago now that I did this, kind of started camping out of it, and have made improvements along the way kind of as I got experience with it. I originally built it for longer trips, not overnight trips, but I did a lot of bird hunting in different states. I live in eastern Kentucky and there just aren't any birds here, so I had to travel for that. Last year, just as some examples, I did a 1 week trip to Michigan, 1 week to Colorado, another week in Oklahoma, and then 2-week trip to Idaho. And that's the longest trip I've ever had. It was, again, from eastern Kentucky here to there. It was about 2,000 miles, so 2,000 miles each way. When I was driving the trip out, I stayed at rest areas and didn't have any trouble with that. And it was in a remote area when I was camping in Idaho. Actually, maybe I'll put a clip of that in right now. But anyway, it was a full 14 days of camping out of the truck, and I had no problem. The only thing that I did was several times I stopped at truck stops to take showers, and that was fine too, you know. So, but otherwise, it was using the truck the whole time. My truck is a 2019 F-150 with a smaller back door here, and that led to a larger bed. I didn't originally buy the truck thinking of truck camping, but I did want a longer bed, and the bed is a little over 6 feet long, and that works out very well for me. I'm 6'2". The cap, or I'm under an oak tree and there are acorns falling down, so you might hear those. Anyway, this cap is a Lear mid-high rise, and you can see here that there is a little bit of it doesn't come straight back from the cab, it actually increases there. Watch out for these acorns. And that does create about 4 inches of extra space in the roof inside, and that does help a lot. And so I did buy the cap thinking that I was going to be doing some truck camping, and that was a part of that was a plus as far as that extra space. I also wanted the basket on top, and they built that in, so I didn't add it afterwards, and so there are no leaks, or there haven't been yet. It's a Thule rack system, but I wanted a bigger basket than they had, and that is a Kurt basket, and I've used it quite a bit. That's extremely helpful because you just don't have that much packing space to put stuff up there. It really does help a lot to have that extra space up there. I think this cap is rated, I was told when I bought it, to handle about 500 pounds of pressure, and I've not had 500 pounds up there, I don't think, but I have had probably 200 or 300 pounds of water and stuff like that, and haven't had any problem with it. Okay, now we're going to look at kind of the back of the truck here, where what I can get access to from the tailgate. And I do like to cook on the tailgate primarily, and usually I'll cook on the tailgate unless it's extremely cold. Even in the rain, I have an awning that can go over the back of the truck here that blocks the rain pretty well. In fact, I just posted a Colorado camping trip video where I had to put the awning up because a thunderstorm came up while I was cooking. But anyway, so I do a lot here off the back tailgate. The first thing I want to point out is that I did put a brand bed rug in here, and so it's like Velcro kind of, and you can see that it covers the bottom and also up on the sides, and it's done well. On the bottom, on the floor, actually, it has quite a bit of padding in it, and grooves. You know how the back of a pickup truck has grooves in it. It has counter grooves that flatten that out and also provide some cushion. And I do think I'm pretty confident that in the wintertime when it's cold, that provides a pretty good barrier in terms of cold coming up through the floor. Okay, the next thing I'm going to look at here is is part of my power situation. Everything other than the propane stove that I use, everything runs off electric, and so this is one of my power sources. It's a Jackery 1500 Explorer. And you can see I've got a lamp on in there now that's running off of this Explorer. It gives you quite a bit of information, and I've had this, like I said, I bought this I think 4 years ago, and I have not had any problems with it at all. So you can see that that little lamp is only putting off drawing 3 watts right now, and I've got 66% of the charge still left on this. And I'll talk more about how I recharge this and kind of when I use it kind of later in the video, but this is very helpful there. The other thing I'm going to move to now is my cooking utensils and everything. So stuff that I'm using very often, I keep it right up under there. This is just a Walmart tub, you know, nothing too spectacular, but I've got a Camp Chef stove and everything that I need in here, like the attachments to be able to hook that up. I've even got some propane in here, plates, pan, and everything like that. So most of the cooking that I do, I can do from this. And so it makes it very easy just to pull it out, clean it up, and then put it back. I do, and I don't have it here now, but I do also have a piece of plywood that I pull out, and I regret not having it, but and I put polyurethane on it, and it fits right up in here. Pull it out and put it on the tailgate, and I usually have that down to cook off of instead of cooking right off of this. All right, next I'm going to talk about the bed, and I'm getting kind of older. In fact, I turn 62 in a few months from now, and the older you get, the more important things like the bed becomes. And so I've made this bed very comfortable, and it's worked well. Let me show you what I've got. And so really, I started this off as a cot, and I bought a cot, and I'll put the description or link to it, what cot it is, below. But I needed a cot that didn't have a center set of legs so that I could slide it over the wheel well and straddle the wheel well that way. When I originally thought I was just going to sleep in the cot, but when I tried sleeping in the cot, it was really very trough-like, you know, so I ended up kind of just sinking down in it and couldn't move around very much and stuff. So I decided not to go with that, but stick with the cot, but to modify it so that it would be more like what I wanted. And so let me show you what I've got here. So what I did, you can see this blue here is the cot. And on top of it, I put a piece of 1/4-inch plywood and just tied it to the frame of the cot so that it wouldn't slide around independently, that it would stay with the cot. And of course, I rounded the corners so that I wouldn't be snagging on those getting in and out of the back or getting cooking stuff. On top of that, I have, it's not a twin size mattress. It's a little bit smaller than a twin size mattress, but it was on another cot that we had and my wife had, and she didn't like it. And so I ended up taking the mattress off that cot and using it here. And then I put a 3-inch topper on top of that. So this is very comfortable, and it's just right for me in terms of being firm enough, but soft enough still. And in fact, I think I can sleep as well, as comfortably on this bed as I can my bed at home. It really is very comfortable. On top of it, I have a 0-degree bag that I got at Cabela's. And usually unless it's very cold, if it's pretty warm, I just kind of open it up and sleep on top of it. If it's very cold, of course, I get in it and use it as it was designed for, as a 0-degree bag. The last couple of things I'm going to talk about here from the tailgate are this runner that I put in and this refrigerator freezer system that I have access to here from the tailgate. The runner is just a carpet runner that I got at Lowe's, and it is basically the width of this aisle, and so it works pretty well as far as fitting in this space, and it adds a little more cushion in terms of the knees getting in and out of the truck. But also, if it gets dirty, and it does get dirty sometimes, then I can take it out easily and clean it, and don't have to be dealing with the bed rug itself. Now this refrigerator freezer is an Alpicool unit, and it used to have the logo there, but it came off. And I think this was pretty inexpensive. I can't remember now, but I believe I paid $100 for it maybe, which is, you know, I thought that was reasonable. And I've been using it about 4 years now and haven't had any problem with it. And it's not huge, but I can put, you know, a day's worth of food in there for sure. And you might notice that I've got it up on a platform here. I wanted this larger. I've got a smaller one up there too that I'll go over in a minute when I get up in the back. I wanted this bigger one back at the tailgate, but because of the wheel well, I couldn't fit it in this space. So But what of course, because of the slope of the wheel well, if I elevated this, then it would fit. And so I just got a piece of wood from the barn and made a little platform there to put that on top of, and then velcroed the refrigerator to the platform, and it stayed there the whole time. And so that's why that's elevated, just so that it will fit in that space. Now, doing that also created a little space here. I was originally going to just close this off with a piece of wood, but decided to make use of the space, which is a tight commodity here. And so I happen to have a box that fit in there, so I slid this box up in there, and I keep stuff in there that I need regularly, that I can access from the tailgate. This is just a cardboard box, and I've had it for a while there, and it's held up, but I think I need to go ahead and probably build some kind of wooden box that would slide up in there and use that instead of the cardboard. And also maybe paint it so it's the same color. All right, I'm going to climb up in the back now, and I'm going to show you up under there. This is up under the cot, and as you would expect, there's some space under there still that can be used. And so I do have a couple of tubs under there. I'm going to show you those real quick. The first one here is, I like to cook, and so I have a lot of cooking utensils here. You can see I've got a peeler, French fry maker, a bacon press, and just about anything. A lot of measuring spoons, cups. So anyway, I've got that there, and if I need it, I can just pull it out. I'm going to be cooking a big meal. If you can see it, but I've got a bungee cord under here that keeps these tubs in place. Now this next tub, I don't have a top on because I kind of want to use it as a drawer, more like, so I don't have to pull it out and take the top off to get stuff out of it. And so I have like a bigger frying pan in here and a pot, a little small pot, and I keep, like I said, keep that up under here. I actually think I have more space I could do more under there if I need more space, and I can kind of figure it out. All right, so I'm in the back of the truck now, and I'm sitting on the cot. I don't know if you can see that or how much you can see, but anyway, I'm sitting on the cot, and I can sit up comfortably, and this was really important for me to be able to do this. And so my head, I got plenty of headroom. Now, something I forgot to mention is that when I first put the cot in here, it was too tall. When I sat on it, I had to bend over because of the lack of headspace, and so I ended up shortening the legs of the cot. And it is kind of funny, at this point, I put the board on the cot and I cut the legs off on the cot. It really would have been just as easier even just to build something, but I already had the cot, so I kind of stuck with it. So anyway, that's a part of that. Let me show you around here a bit. The first thing I'm going to start with is the curtains, and the curtains are very important. And I've done some camping, like in rest areas and in public places and stuff like that, and the curtains are at truck stops, and the curtains are very nice to be able to close this up and to be kind of semi-discreet, and people can't look in. Anyway, these are not, I didn't make these curtains. These are just, I bought window valances. And the place, I just went online and looked for window valances, and this is obviously a bird hunting theme, and now I'm going more to fishing probably, so I might need to redo that. But anyway, got window valances the right length, and there were a number of options in terms of how long they would be. So I would definitely go with that before I would try making them, at least for me. And the way I mounted these on the sides and in the front was, this is on a curtain rod, and the curtain rod came with these hangers that were designed to go into a wall, or wherever around the window that they're going to be mounted on. And so I didn't have that option here, but what I did is I just took some screws out, and you can see that one there too, I hope. Took some screws out of the window and then put the screw back in the hole for the curtain rod holder, and that's worked out well. So I just hung them that way without having to drill any holes or doing anything like that. And so the curtains are really important. I would definitely have those. All right, now I'm going to talk about my table here and storage area underneath, and my power strip. So this power strip, and I showed you the Jackery earlier, and you can see that the Jackery's got something plugged into it. It is this power strip, and I got a heavy duty shop power strip. I was a little bit concerned about lighter weight ones maybe being more of a fire hazard. So anyway, this is a power strip, and what I do is I plug it into whatever my power source is, and then everything in here that needs power, I just plug it into this power strip. So the freezer, refrigerator, my coffee maker here, the heater you can see, and then the lamp, of course, and my other little freezer back there. Anything that I need to charge for, that I just plug it into that. And so this is a really simple way to handle the power distribution kind of for this small space, as opposed to kind of building a panel with an inverter in it that I would be plugging into. Now the table, this is just 2 pieces of wood that I made into an L shape, and then rested it on the ridge or the top of the truck bed with Velcro, and then put 2 legs on it, one here and one back here, and that's my table. And so it's that has worked very well, and that was part of the original build for me, was to get this little table in here, and it fits right up next to the bed. The only problem I've had with this is that this board here I bought, and it was wider. I wanted it wider, and it was made by gluing two boards together. And eventually that glue seal broke, and the board split, or at least it started splitting. And I think that was just from being in the heat back here, like when it's parked, the truck is parked out at the house in the summer and it's 150 degrees or hotter back here, that split. So all I did is I put some brackets underneath, the same way I joined these 2 boards together to make the L shape, put some brackets under there and fix that up, and it works just fine now. Now this last part, or this additional part down here, this little storage area, is something that I did more recently, but still a couple of years ago. It, on the back side back there, rests on the wheel well, and then has 3 legs on it, you can see, and then a lip on it as far as the surface area to hold stuff in place. And I have kind of everything I need there for cooking in the back of the cab if I want to, which again is rare. Only in really bad weather do I do that. But I also have my coffee maker, which I pull out and I have here every night, and I have it set up just so I can turn it on in the morning. It's ready to go. I got my coffee and filters and stuff here, coffee mug, and then I've got an electric hot plate. You can't see it back there really, but that's back there. I can pull it out and plug it in and use it. I've scrambled eggs, got my food here so I don't have to get out and get that. Scrambled eggs and bacon and things like that. So this little area, and I was initially concerned that driving around, was this stuff going to stay in here? Would this lip be enough to hold it in place? And it has been, and I've been off-road with it some too, and it stays. One little thing here, a trash can, and that's stuck to the side with Velcro. This is really nice, especially if I'm cooking back here and stuff, to be able to have a trash can to put kind of oily stuff in, or wrappers and things like that in right away, instead of having them in a pile and clean them up later. Okay, the last 2 things I think I want to go over in the back here are this rack that I made, and then this smaller fridge freezer back here. And the reason I have 2 of these is, like I said, I was doing a lot of bird hunting, and sometimes you actually harvest birds and you want to freeze them and take them back home. And so I usually use this one as a freezer, and they're the same. They can both be used as either a fridge or freezer. You just adjust the temperature on it. And so I would freeze my birds that I was going to save and for eating, and I'd have those here, and I'd have the food that I was going to eat here. And I did keep these running 24/7. So even when I was driving back home, I would have the refrigerator and the freezer running the whole time with the Jackery, and then I would recharge that at night, and I'll go over that in a second. Now this rack here it doesn't look like much, but it was really a great addition because space is an issue. And so being able to, again, a lot of my camping is in the cold, and so I want to get completely dressed in the back of the truck with the heat you know, before I have to go outside and do whatever I'm going to do out there. And so this gave me a place to hang my clothes. I also hang my boots up here, you know, and things like that. And it's out of the way. I'm not, you know, I don't have it on the bed or wherever, trying to figure that out. Now, the way I installed this was the roof rack, which I showed you earlier, had these bolts that came through that it's mounted on. And so what I did is I just took these caps off, and the bolts, I got a nut that was the same size, and then put a bracket on this rack and used the nut and mounted it directly from the roof rack bolts that were coming through the ceiling here. And so it's really strong. I expect I could probably hang 50 pounds on there without any trouble, and it would be secure. So this really, you know, and I've thought about putting them somewhere else too, just because it helps out with space so much to be able to hang stuff up and kind of have it out of your way, or putting a shelf up here so I can put stuff and just suspending the shelf again from these same kinds of things. But anyway, this has worked very well. That was a more recent addition. While I'm looking at it here, this is something else I want to mention. This is a CO monitor. I think these are extremely important, and I don't think I can emphasize how important it is to have a CO monitor in a small space like this. This is a special one it's made for campers and small spaces like this, and so I've always got that there. Here, and I'll show, the next thing I'll go over is the generator that I use sometimes, you know. So I do have there's always the possibility of getting some elevated CO levels in this small space, and so it's a good thing to have one of those. All right, so I'm back out of the truck now, and I'm going to show you my primary power source, and it is a Honda 2200i generator. And I always, when I do use this, I have it situated like this. I put it up on one of the front tires, and the generator is positioned so that the exhaust goes out away from the truck. And I've got the CO detector and have not had any elevated CO levels from that. And what I do, you can see this extension cord here, is I just plug it in to the generator and run the extension cord around and into the crack of the window, and then the power strip that's in there that I went over earlier, I plug it into this extension cord, and it powers everything in the back of the truck. This extra tank, what I found when I first started doing this is overnight, if I'm running the heat all night, which draws a fair amount of power, that the tank that's the generator tank won't run all night. So 5, 6 in the morning, it'll usually run out of gas, and then I don't have any power in the back. So I bought this extra tank, and it's 6 gallons, and I just have it stuck up here. But you just plug it into this adapter that's for the cap, and it will run with the 2 tanks. If I'm running the heat every night, it'll usually, this much gas will last me about 6 nights, and so that's usually most of my trip, and so that's worked very well. So the generator is I use that, I guess I use it at night. I don't really use it during the day. During the day I would use the Jackery. If I'm at a campground where there are people around and I want to be a little more quiet, usually I'll just get a camp space that has a power hookup, and I'll just use the extension cord that way, and instead of using the generator. Now, how I use the generator and the Jackery together is the Jackery is a battery, right? So it just needs to be charged up, and so during the day when I'm driving, I'm doing stuff, and I'm wanting to keep everything cold in the back, the 2 refrigerators and stuff like that, I just keep everything plugged into the Jackery, and the Jackery's in the back of the truck. At night, I unplug the Jackery and I go to the generator, and then I plug the Jackery into that power strip that I showed earlier, so that it charges. And so what I do is every day during the day I run down the Jackery in terms of power needs, which is often not much, and then at night I switch to the generator and recharge the Jackery. All right, I think that's the basics of my setup. It's not fancy, and it's not, was definitely kind of minimal. Like if I could buy something that would, like the Jackery, for example, that would do what I needed, then I would go that route as opposed to really building something, kind of in the interest of time, if nothing else. But anyway, I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave me a comment, and I'll get back to you on that. And also, if you have any suggestions on how to make this better, I would gladly hear that information, and would like to improve things. So, all right, thank you for tuning in. All right, bye.